Sarah.
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 Woo. Back in 2004, I was living my childhood dream. I was 18 years old and had just graduated Marine Corps boot camp and Marine combat training. By that summer, I was at Redstone Arsenal in Huntsville, Alabama, at military occupational school training to be an ammunition technician, which was the pathway to becoming explosive ordnance disposal. At 5'1" and 90 pounds, I've always been described by people who've known me as small but mighty, like a stick of dynamite. I was a physical training stud. I ran right in with all of the male Marines as well and did 20 pull-ups right next to them. And then and I had high scores and everything. It was incredible. Like I was truly living my dream. And then one day when I was standing in the position of attention in a promotion ceremony, I started feeling all kinds of symptoms. There was sweat pouring down my back. My head was pounding. I was lightheaded and dizzy. So I started moving my knees around to make sure that I wasn't locking them out. And then I felt like I was going to throw up. And all of a sudden, my vision became all tunneled and grayed out. So as soon as our commanding officer called us to fall out, I literally fell out, landing face first on the asphalt. Marines fall out of formations all the time, so none of us thought anything of it. I hydrated, ate some breakfast, and carried on the rest of the day. And I was completely fine. Then a few days later, while I was at the base gym doing lat pull downs, I got up and to let the next Marine have their turn. And my gunnery sergeant looked at me and he said, "Hey, Devil Dog, are you okay?" And so I snapped to parade rest and said, "Yes, Gunny." And then there I was, laid out on the floor again, unconscious. This time, an ambulance was called and I was taken to the emergency room. The doctors ran all kinds of tests, but all of them came back normal. He told me that I had a fast heart rate, which meant that I was just dehydrated. So they gave me fluids and I was sent on my way with no restrictions. After that day, I started developing more and more symptoms. I became very fatigued. I was weak. I was fainting, doing everyday things. And every time that I went to medical, they kept saying the same thing, that nothing was wrong with me. And so the Marines believed that. And I became labeled as a malingerer. And I was given extra duties to do, like the kinds that nobody else wanted to do. I was hospitalized at one point and dropped from my original class, but then I was finally able to graduate with the next class and sent out into the fleet for my first duty station at Camp Lejeune. The fainting and all the other symptoms continued. And again, the Marines did not believe me. Until one day, I was in my platoon commander's office and I fainted, hitting his wooden desk and pushing it a couple inches with my head. At that point, they saw that I really was unconscious and that I really was in trouble. So almost a year to the day that the symptoms started, I was finally sent to the National Naval Medical Center in Bethesda, Maryland, where I was diagnosed with postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. When I was at MOS school, we had gone out into the field and blew up grade 3 ammunition. And so after being diagnosed, they told me that their best guess was that I had been exposed to some sort of chemical or toxin that had attacked my autonomic nervous system. And it was actually one of the happiest days of my life being diagnosed with POTS, because I was finally validated in that it wasn't all in my head and I had proof. And I was finally able to start my path towards healing, although it was a very long journey. At 20 years old, I was medically retired out of the Marine Corps, and my childhood dream, that was gone forever. I was lost for a very long time. I was in a wheelchair because I was fainting so much. I was taking about 60 pills a day. and nothing was really helping me. It took a while for me to figure out how to adapt to my condition. And one of the ways that I found other people who also had the condition like me, because I had never met anybody else with anything like me, was I started making up YouTube videos sharing my story. And then other people told me that my story helped them get diagnosed and it helped them feel less alone. And I found that that made me feel less alone too. So when I moved down to Charleston several years later, I saw an ad looking for background for a TV series. And I thought that if I could get on a real film set, maybe I could learn how to reach more people by producing better quality YouTube videos. And the first moment that I stepped foot on the film set, it was like stepping back on the yellow footprints back at boot camp. I fell in love with it. And I knew that my path would be filmmaking. Jump forward to today, I am now a producer, director, actor, and writer. And I have learned not only how to survive POTS, but how to thrive with it. And thanks to Veterans of Media and Entertainment, I've had the opportunity to learn from some of the best filmmakers there are. And I'm really excited about that. And today, here I am able to share my story thanks to the Moth. Thank you.